and welcome to Cooking with Charlie. Before we get into today's cooking, I just wanted to explain to you a little bit about what we're doing and why all of this has come about. I'm from the Bahamas originally, and I have two kids here and we live in the UK now. So we thought we'd do this as a way of me trying to preserve some of the local Bahamian tradition in the form of cooking, to pass on to my kids, something they can see online. My son is at university at the moment, so it'd be good for him to just go online to get an idea of some of the recipes. Now, we're not only going to do Bahamian cooking, we're also going to do just some quick, fast and easy meals, something you can knock up in a hurry without too much fuss. Good evening and welcome again to Cooking with Charlie. Today we're going to do a salmon on croute. This is a recipe from one of my friends, Nathan. So yeah, he's featured this on his blog recently. And it's basically a really straightforward dish. It's just a sheet of puff pastry. We've got a layer of salmon on top, some creme fraiche mixed with chopped dill, bit of asparagus, and topped with another sheet of puff pastry. Seal that around the edges and then in the oven. So it's fairly quick, straightforward, fast, and it'll taste yummy. Before we get started, I just want to go over all the equipment we're going to need and all the ingredients. What we've got here is a baking tray. That's just lined with butter and baking paper on top. 2 sheets of puff pastry. Now these are shop bought as frozen, and you just need to take them out of the box, leave them in the fridge overnight to thaw out. I've got 1 egg we're going to use for the egg wash to seal the pastry, and I've got about a 1/4 cup of creme fraiche in here. There's also some dill, fresh dill we're going to chop in a minute. There's a lemon, we're going to use the lemon zest from this, and of course some asparagus with the tips. Now as we go along, we're going to cut off the tips to serve them with the salmon, and we'll just use the stalks. And of course here's the main ingredient, the salmon. Now as you can see, I've cut off the skin of the salmon already in preparation for the dish. The first thing we've got to do is to zest the lemon. So we'll just do that quickly into the creme fraiche. This gives it that nice lemony zing. And if you've got a lemon with wax on it, because sometimes the lemon comes with wax to preserve it, just give it a quick wash under a hot tap to try and get rid of some of the wax. I can smell all that lemon flavour. I can smell that zest, and that's going to give the fish a real zing. So there's a creme fraiche with the lemon zest. We'll just get a bit of dill and we'll chop that really finely. That's that, combined with the creme fraiche and the lemon zest. So I've chopped the dill and I've just mixed that in with the lemon zest and the creme fraiche. So we'll just give that a good mix now. Now that's ready to go onto our salmon. The next step then is to trim the stalks off the asparagus. So we'll just clip the ends off like that. Do this one. We don't want the rough bits of the stalk in with the salmon, so we just trim them off and put them on the side. Now next we're going to take the tips of the asparagus and we're going to cut these off and cook these with the other veg we're going to serve with the salmon when it's all done. So the next step is we'll take out, unroll one of the sheets pastry. Now the next step is to get the salmon onto the pastry, and we'll leave a nice border in order to seal it. So we're going to spread some of the creme fraiche on the top of the salmon like that. Okay, so we've put that on there, and we'll just take that aside. Now this is where we get to put the salmon stalks on. We can just stick them on top of the creme fraiche and dill, and these are going to come out really cool when we cut it. Take this pastry out of the paper, sorry, and then we'll lay that on top like that. Now bearing in mind we're going to use some of this for the trim, and we also need to seal the ends of it. We'll just trim this side so we've got a nice even border all the way around. Right, so we've got that on both sides now. We're going to crack our egg into the dish where we're going to make a mix from this to stick the pastry together. We'll just give that a quick whisk. Just give that a quick whisk. And we'll use that to glaze it afterwards, but also to just stick the pastry together. So we'll just lift up the sides a little bit, like so, and we push the pastry. We do the same thing on the other end, and again we do the same thing on the sides. Perhaps done with leaving a bit more room on the sides to stick down the pastry. There we go. Now we've got a knife or a fork. We use this fork and we can just crimp the edges like that. That makes it nice and tidy, but also helps to seal the pastry down. I think we're doing a good job so far. So there we go. Now the next step, take this out of the way, is we need to create a lattice over this. So if I push this down here, and then you can see how we can just cut this like that, so we've got some strips of pastry that we can use to create a lattice over the top. Just trim this because we want our pastry to look good. Just trim that excess up there, like so. Get a little bit there. We'll make up an extra bit for that. Dip that in a bit of egg so it sticks to the other one. Trim that up there, and then a third piece across there, like that. Now again, we use a bit of the egg to just stick these edges down. That one's stuck already, and then the same thing going over the other side. We can crimp them afterwards. And then finally we put that last piece on. Right, so you can see we've got everything stuck on. We'll just tidy it up a little bit. We're not going to get high marks for presentation here, but I know it's going to taste good. So there we go, done. That's ready for the oven. Last thing to do is we'll put this onto the baking sheet first of all. Need to get this, just make sure it's not stuck, and need to move it all onto the baking sheet like so. Last and final step is to just give that an egg wash all the way over. Oh, forgot to crimp that bit. And that's going to give it a nice golden brown flavour as it bakes in the oven. And to bake it, we just need to get the oven up to 200 degrees, and it'll take about 20 minutes or so to bake, but keep an eye on it. Don't want it to burn, but give it about 20 minutes in the oven at 200 degrees. Right, just to recap a little bit on what we've done. We've taken the creme fraiche, we've chopped the dill and put that in the creme fraiche. We've taken the zest from 1 lemon, mixed that in with the creme fraiche. We've then taken the pastry out, lined the salmon on top of the pastry. We've put the creme fraiche on top of the salmon, taken the asparagus tips off to use for the vegetables, and we've taken the stalks, put it on top of the creme fraiche, and put the other layer of pastry on top. And we just created a lattice and sealed that off. Only one last thing left to do, and that's to put some vents in the pastry to allow steam to escape as it's cooking. And that's done, salmon on croute. Right, now here's the bad boy just out of the oven, and that's looking nice. It's all nice and golden brown. You can see how we brushed it with egg, how that's made it nice and brown all over. I hope I've done it some justice, following your recipe. Yeah, here we go, salmon on croute a la Nathan Vasey.